I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and we know that the disrespect of women, particularly black women, has been a huge problem in hip hop. It's in fact, I would say that in the worst parts of hip hop, we're not vilifying all of hip hop, but in the worst parts of hip hop, disrespect for black women is at an all-time high, probably worse than anywhere else in our society. And to kind of dig into that, I wanted to speak to Miss Rachel Bradshaw, who is she's many things, but one thing that she is, and I'm going to name this one thing, and she can tell you anything else. She's a filmmaker. She made a great film called On My Own, and it's a great story that we're going to actually push forward to you within the next few weeks. And first, I want to ask Miss Bradshaw, how you doing today?
I'm hanging in there. Allergies are kicking my butt, but I'm okay.
You know what? Allergies are killing me too. I was just telling you that this is the first time in months I've had to actually take some allergy medicine. So I guess in Chicago it must be just as bad as it is in New York. So, good luck with that. I hope you can work through it. 'Cause it's terrible. Now you reached out to me and you sent me a couple emails and you texted me today about something that happened with the rapper 50 Cent that really disturbed you as a woman of color. Tell me what happened.
So this morning I was scrolling through my Facebook news feed, and I came across a post by the Shade Room. They're like this big black gossip blog, and usually they're able to catch a lot of like Instagram interactions between celebrities and their followers. So I came across an Instagram post about 50 Cent, and he had posted a picture of his son, him with his son, and the post said something like, my little guy is getting so big. I feel like he's going to drive away in my car really soon. So that was cute. So then a follower of his asked, "What about your firstborn?" And his response to her was, "Why only angry black bitches got something to say about my other son? He's grown. What, you want to give him some pussy? Go Google him." So that to me just blew my mind at the amount of disrespect towards this young woman. First off, she didn't really say anything that was really disrespectful to him, but 50 Cent could have done one or two things. He could have, first off, just ignored her, like I'm sure he does a lot of his followers, or he could have responded in a more respectful way. And even if he wanted to say some of the other stuff that he did say, what really burnt me was the black bitch part. And here's the reason why. Sometimes we know when men want to disrespect women, they call you a bitch. That's the best way to denigrate, a woman. But when you say black bitch, that's like a double insult. And that really burnt me because I've been in a position before just walking along my way, minding my business, and you'll have a man catcalling you on the street, and then when you don't respond, you get called a black bitch. So I just kind of feel like we need to address now the disdain that some black men have for black women. And I kind of feel like unless we get to the root of black relationships and how black men and black women view each other, we can't even repair the family. If we can't get along, if we don't respect each other, if we hate each other, there's all this animosity, we can't have successful, healthy relationships, marriages, and families. So, I really wanted to touch base on this. And then, I'll get your opinion on it because there's more that I want to say as far as even when things like this happen and the black woman is disrespected. We've seen it in so many other instances. I'm calling for more black men to step up and protect us and fight for us.
Well, first of all, I'll say your opinion matters far more than mine on this, so I want you to do most of the talking. However, I will say that just reading what I see on here, it definitely seems like I've read about some of that history between 50 Cent and his son's mother and also his son. And we can agree 100% that what he said was unacceptable. If you're going to get mad, get mad, but what did he say? He said angry black bitch or
Angry black bitches.
yeah, and oof, yeah, it's definitely a problem. And what's interesting too is that you really aren't gonna you don't have that outrage that you would have if someone said. I think Rihanna even said. I think she tweeted "Free Palestine" one time and had to take it down. If someone were to say that about Jews or say anything derogatory about Jews, they'd be attacked pretty badly. And it seems that there's really no one there really protecting black women. And sometimes even black women will get mad at you for protecting black women against this kind of language. For example, I remember we talked about Chris Brown's song where he kept saying these hoes ain't loyal, and I said, well, that's a problem. I mean, that's kind of a crazy chorus, but a lot of women said you're being too serious. It's no big deal. Like, leave it alone. And so it's very confusing, I think, for people to understand just where that line should be drawn. But it's clear that so many people feel comfortable just stepping over the line. I don't think there's any level of additional disrespect that could be shown to black women in hip hop. And I'm talking about the worst parts of hip hop, not all of hip hop. It seems that we've hit the basement. Like, there's almost nothing
Agree.
more that they could say about black women that would be any more offensive than what they said already, and no one really says anything about it.
No, I agree. I just think misogyny in hip hop, and I said this on Facebook today, and it kind of sparked the whole discussion. I feel like a lot of black men have done more right now, specifically hip hop, to denigrate black women and our image more than the worst white supremacists could do right now. And I just really think that's really horrible. And I'll never forget this. I remember when I was taking one of my screenplay writing classes, and the professor had us read The Godfather. And I see a lot of black men. They like to wear the Godfather shirt. They like to wear Scarface. If you remember one scene in The Godfather where they had the conglomerate meeting, and the Godfather, he didn't want to sell drugs, and they kind of forced him into going into the drug business. If you remember, one of the mobsters said, well, let's go ahead and sell drugs to the dark people. The men don't respect their women and their children anyway. And this is kind of how they view a lot of black men, because they see sometimes how they conduct themselves in regards to how they treat black women. And I think now we really need to push this to the forefront. Like, we will not tolerate disrespect anymore. Am I saying every black woman walking around is a queen? No. But speaking as a black woman, the average black woman is just going to work, running her business, or going to school. And sometimes we get all painted with this same broad brush of what they see on Instagram, or whatever type of, I don't know, ratchet girls, or whatever they want to call them, walking around. And I think it's really time that, like I said, I'm calling for other black men to really step up and say, no, we can't talk to our women this way. We can't propagate messages about them that portrays them in a negative light. I really think now it's time for us to really like tackle this.
Hmm. Well, I agree with you. I would say that it would make sense to boycott 50 Cent's music, but I don't think he sold a record since 2005. Poor guy. I mean, I don't know exactly what he's doing. I assume he's doing other stuff. He's got a TV show, I know. But
Power. I won't be watching Power. I personally said myself, like, this is it for me, because I also say this. When a Caucasian man wants to call his white female counterpart a bitch, it's just bitch. It's not this white bitch. When an Asian man wants to call an Asian woman a bitch, it's just a bitch. It's not this Asian bitch, or whatever else, whatever curse, or whatever else they want to use. So that's just the thing. When you say black bitch, it's meant to directly insult black women. It's meant to be a double insult, as if there's something wrong with being a black woman.
And I was gonna say, because even the word bitch, it's reserved typically for women. I mean, sometimes I've heard people refer to men as bitches before, but typically, if a man is hostile, he might be called an asshole. If a woman is hostile, it's like, oh, she's such a bitch, right? And so when you're talking about these public figures that are endorsing this kind of behavior toward black women, you have to wonder how we're going to rebuild as a community, because there's so much of a gender war. That it has emerged in certain segments of the black community, where you've got women who don't trust the men who can't trust the women, and I think that at some point we have to really look at ourselves and kind of say, what are we really doing? At least if you stop the conversation and just look at ourselves as black men, we have to say, okay, what are we doing collectively to make ourselves trustworthy? We want to be leaders of our families, but what are we making ourselves? What are we doing to make ourselves worthy of any kind of leadership in our family? What are we doing to make ourselves desirable to black women? And so I think that call to manhood is very important. And I think, despite what people will do sometimes is, when you say something like, we need to respect black women, well, people will say, well, look at what black women are saying about us. Look at what they're doing to us, right? And there's a point where you have to stop pointing the finger back. You have to look at yourself and say, okay, I don't care what kind of ratchetness is going on around me. I don't have to participate in that. And I would imagine that for women, that the conversation would have to be the same, because we can build families if we disrespect each other, don't support each other, don't want to protect each other. And fortunately, that's not true for everyone. But I think when you have some of your most prominent public figures in the black community being able to say things like, angry black bitch, and not be held accountable for that, that's a clear problem. I mean, what if imagine if Brad Pitt had gotten on Twitter or Instagram and said, "Oh, you angry black bitch." People would eat him alive. And now here's the other interesting thing too. I think that as we call black men to stand up and command that black women be protected, we have to make that same call to black women as well. Command that respect. Because if Brad Pitt had said, "You angry black bitch," black men and women would go after him. It wouldn't just be black men or just black women. It would be everybody, right? So I think in this case of 50 Cent, if people are concerned about what he said, everybody has to make that stand. Because so it's an interesting kind of recursive process, right? One, the chicken lays the egg, which lays another chicken, and I say that because, I've heard black men say, well, we don't respect black women because so many black women don't command respect. They don't want to be respected. They treat you better if you disrespect them. I'll give you an example. I remember hearing a girl listen to a Lil Wayne song. She wasn't a girl, she was a woman, and I said, you do know in that lyric he just said that he wants to turn you into a hooker, get you to steal for him, and then murder you and send your dead body back to your boyfriend. And she said, yeah, but the beat is high. And I remember as a man, I was like, confused. You're like, wait a minute, like, did you hear what he just said about you? But once again, though, I think that accountability have to start with me. So even if she doesn't become offended by what she said, maybe it's my job to be offended for her, or to say, look, this is why this is not acceptable. But I think everybody's confused about just what where the guidelines are, what are the rules. You know what I mean?
I think to a certain extent that both black men and women suffer from a certain type of psychosis. And we have a lot of things, mentally that we need to deal with. But I'm speaking specifically about just black men. Sometimes some of them, their willingness to just disrespect black women at a drop of a dime. And even sometimes some of the things that, I'll be on social media and you'll hear some black men disrespecting black women because, they'll say stuff like, oh, they think they're all high and mighty because they're getting their degrees. And you hear just all these insults. And I just wonder where is the hatred coming from? Instead of praising black women like, oh, they're doing better, black women, they're outpacing everyone when it comes to getting degrees. And instead of being praised for that, our men take that same success and they use it against us and say that now we think we're better than who do we think we are. And I just think that there's a lot of issues between black men and black women that we kind of really need to sort out. I think maybe we should have a national discussion on this too, so that we can move forward, because it's really brewing to the top. It's really brewing to the top. We have to take care of this. But I wanted to get back to the whole protection thing. I don't know if you remember, Malcolm X even mentioned that the most unprotected and disrespected woman in America is the black woman. And I'm sure Malcolm X was just not talking about white supremacists. I'm sure he was talking about within the black community also. Black men as a whole have not done the best job that they can do to make sure that they take care of us. Because no matter whatever way you try to put it, the black man's most prized possession is the black woman. And once he understands that, things will be better for him in American society.
Right on. I love it. I love it. That is, I think that's a great way to finish the conversation, and you're absolutely correct. And it's funny because, on one hand, you can point to what the music has done in terms of eroding the respect for black women, but Malcolm said this in the 1960s, and hip hop wasn't on the scene at all back then. And so, it basically, it's even been true at that time, which I think connects to the emasculation that occurred during slavery and Jim Crow, which perhaps as it's stripping away the manhood of so many men, they don't see themselves as protectors and providers and the things they could be, maybe because they couldn't do it for so long. So, but that was then and this is now, and it is, and you're absolutely correct. I cannot argue with you at all that the job of us as men is to protect black women, and that's without regard to to what other people may say or do or think about that. So I applaud you for bringing this conversation up. Now, tell me about this film festival. You're about to take your film On My Own to the is it Women of African Descent Film Festival? Is that what it's called?
Yes, On My Own is in another film festival this year. On My Own has been doing great as far as the amount of film festivals that it's been in. So next Saturday, May 2nd, it's going to be screening at the Women of African Descent Film Festival in Long Island, sorry, in Brooklyn, Long Island University. So if you're in New York, it's free admission, come by. I'm not exactly sure. I think my film is screening in the morning around 11:30, but yeah, stop by. I'm looking for everyone to stop by.
Okay, and that would be you said Saturday?
Yes, Saturday, May 2nd.
Saturday, May 2nd. Okay, I wish I was there. I gotta go somewhere, but I'm actually coming to New York about 2 weeks after that, so I'm gonna miss that. But I'm gonna see your film because we're actually trying to work out a deal where maybe we can sell some copies of the film and push it toward the Your Black World audience. Because I saw the trailer. The trailer is outstanding, and you did an amazing job with this film. And
Thank
you
you.
have a long history in media, right? In
Yeah,
is
I
it
do. Yeah.
broadcasting? Yeah,
Television news. Yeah.
television news. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm telling you all, she is super professional, always punctual, always follows up. An impressive human being. So, well, good luck with the festival. Let me know how it goes, and I hope people come out and support you, and I also hope people support you in the long term, not just with the film, but also with the ideas that you're sharing, because I don't think anybody can debate the importance of protecting black women. That's the family's the core of everything, and if we don't protect women, it's hard to strengthen our families. So let's protect and support each other.
And can I
But
just say
please,
one other thing?
absolutely.
Um, Kay Sue Jewell has a book that she wrote called "From Miami to Miss America," and in the book she talks about how black women went from working on the plantation for their owner to working for an employer. So they've never had an opportunity to be in a traditional family where the man was the head of the household and the woman stayed home like their white female counterparts. So black women has had to be independent for a long period of time. So I don't think that we should also be crucified for having to be independent. I just think that black men should respect that, understand that, and not crucify us for that. We've had to be independent. We've had no choice, but we're still women at the end of the day. We're still vulnerable, and we need our black kings to protect us. We need our men in the household. We need our men to fight for us. We need our men to stick up for us. The same way we're marching whenever there's a killing, whether it's Trayvon Martin, whether it's Eric Garner, whether it's Michael Brown, black women, we come out and we march with you. We also need you guys to stand up for us when something is said about us that does not reflect us in a positive light.
That's a great point, and I remember, I guess it's almost maybe 18 years ago now, when I was at the University of Kentucky, and we had a prolonged student protest because a black woman got attacked with a knife. It was funny. Well, not funny. It was scary, but it was ironic in the sense that I remember the reason she was attacked or threatened, that someone threatened to kill her, and it was a racially motivated kind of thing. They called her the N word and all that, and they had threatened her because she was actually one of the few people who wrote into the newspaper saying that she agreed with the articles that I was writing, because all the white kids hated everything I said. They just thought I was a loudmouth Negro or whatever. So we protested what happened to this woman, not because of what happened, but also because of the way the administration responded. And I remember that we did a 30-day protest, and when things got dull, when there was no longer any attention, a lot of people stopped coming to the protest. But on the days when no one else was there were always these 3 or 4 black women who were there every time. Even a day where it was thunderstorming, they were outside with me, standing in front of the administration building at the protest. And now, mind you, we went from maybe 150 people on the first day to literally 4 on the days where it was raining, right? But we were determined to finish it out. And I remember yelling at the black men because I said, you got these black women out here in a thunderstorm messing up their hair. And we know how important their
Yeah.
hair is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Love
this is
it.
back when everybody had a perm or something, I don't know much about perms. I don't even have hair, but from what I understand, you can't get that stuff wet. And I said, they're out here messing up their hair for something they believe in, and your punk asses are sitting inside the building, studying, like, or staying out of the rain. That's not what men are supposed to do. So I think there's a clear and undeniable point that you're making on this. We know that what 50 Cent said was totally unacceptable, and protecting the black woman is, I mean, it's as important as protecting your mother. Most of these guys who disrespect a woman on a record or in the club, they wouldn't want somebody talking to their mother like that, and it's as simple as that. you know. So thank you for bringing this to my attention. I appreciate it, and I'm going to push this far and wide. And I think this conversation needs to continue. So I appreciate you bringing it up. Thank you.
Yeah, and one other thing, as far as on my own, I will be in Ferguson in August. I was asked to come down to Ferguson to screen the film. Doing, I think it's going to be the 1 year anniversary, 1 year commemoration of the killing of Michael Brown. And there's another young man out there, Kaijemi Powell, who I believe was killed down there, that they're going to commemorate. So I'll be down there in Ferguson also in August screening the film. So I'm happy it's getting out, because they want to talk about family down there, because Ferguson has a high single motherhood rate also. So, they're trying to tackle that down there, some of the local activists.
All right, all
Yeah.
right. Well, the film's going everywhere, and I think this is just the beginning. I think it's gonna eventually be in millions of homes. So I wish you I wish you the absolute best of luck on this film.
Thank you.
All right. Well, everybody, this is Miss Rachel Bradshaw. She is, among other things, a filmmaker and the creator of the new film On My Own, which is an exploration of the journey of single motherhood, among other things. And you can check out her film if you live in the New York area. She's going to be at Long Island University at the Women of African Descent Film Festival, correct?
Brooklyn campus.
Brooklyn campus, Saturday, May 2nd at 11:30 a.m. So in the Spike Lee, you said the Spike Lee room?
The Spike Lee screening room.
Spike Lee screening room. All right, and we all love Spike Lee. So good luck with your screening, and I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Boyce.
All right, and everybody who's watching, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and also don't forget we do have another film out called Resurrecting Black Wall Street, about the 1921 Black Wall Street massacre that occurred in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a story that every black child in America needs to know. And if you want to see the trailer, it's at resurrectingblackwallstreet.com. That's resurrectingblackwallstreet.com. I hope you'll support the film. Please support, 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 because we use this money to hire black people. I promise. So until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.